Welcome to Latino Talk TV. I'm your host, Ben Mendez, and I'm joined today by our co-host, Mr. Javier Perez.
Hello, folks.
Today we're going to talk about politics. As you know, we have a big election coming up, and we have a special guest, Kim August, here today. In addition to that, we're going to talk about Mexican-American Studies programs in our second half. But first, let's talk about current events.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of San Antonio Spurs all of a sudden.
Hey, what's all this with the
Houston
Spurs,
Rockets,
man?
Well, Houston Rockets not in. What do you expect?
Hey, as soon as the
Texas
Houston team is out, I'm
Texas
out.
team.
All right?
No, if Houston Rockets are not in the playoffs, then I'm rooting for San Antonio Spurs or Dallas Mavericks, depending on the Texas team. Now, San Antonio,
Now, does that same thing go with football?
I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan if Texans do not make it to the playoffs.
Ow! I can't do that. I'm sorry. I cannot do that. I tried.
Well,
I cannot cheer for the Cowboys.
Well, San Antonio is going up against the biggest, baddest guy in the NBA, LeBron James.
LeBron. Yeah.
Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
So my prediction is
I think the Spurs
LeBron is going to take him to 7. LeBron's going to take him to 7 because it's going to be a tough battle against #1 NBA player.
You know what? I think San Antonio's going to do it this year.
Yeah.
I really do.
On another note, I was watching the NCAA softball tournaments. As you know, their finals are going on right now.
Yeah.
Why is it that we do not have softball in the professional league for women? We have baseball for the men. We have soccer for the men. Now we have women's soccer. Just recently here, Houston inherited a team. And of course, we even have semi-pro football women. Mm-hmm. But we don't have softball. Why is that?
You got me, Ben. I think
is
that's
it the fan base? Is it money? What do you think it is? Why can't we start a professional softball team?
Hey, I think they made a movie about that, didn't they?
Well,
League of Their Own, you know?
Well, let me ask Kim Ogg. What do you think?
Hey, I'm just interested in the race for DA in the fall. I'm for the Spurs, when the Rockets aren't in. And softball, I figure I'm in hardball. And so I'm not equipped to answer that question.
Understood. Another thing in the news. This is nothing to do with sports. This is real life. We had a prisoner of war that was locked up, if you will, in a prison camp in Afghanistan for 5 years. And he was just recently let go.
Yeah.
And it's been all over the news. If you've missed it, this gentleman, 23-year-old, has been released, and he is in the custody of the U.S. military. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure when he's coming to the States, but he's under hospital care right now. His parents just so happened to be in Washington when the president announced this to the family. So they skipped whatever tour they were doing at the memorial. They were at the memorial services over there, and they went to the White House, and they had some good news waiting for them.
That's fantastic, man. And I don't think we're getting a lot of people, especially the opposition party, of course, the Republican Party, they jump on top of it. Oh, we've negotiated with terrorists, blah, blah, blah. But you got to think of it. This was the only POW from the Afghanistan war. He was the only one there. We're going to be out of there this year. What are they going to do to this guy? If we would have left him, it would have been a death sentence for this poor man.
Right. They negotiated 5 prisoners to go to them. I'm assuming it was the Taliban. I'm assuming. Yeah. And so 5 prisoners in exchange for 1. I think it was well worth it. I know we don't negotiate with the terrorist groups.
Well,
but
apparently we did, but I guarantee you, I bet those 5 terrorists got some kind of bug somewhere on their person.
Well,
and they're only just a missile launch away.
And we're not talking about one of those UFO bugs, right?
No, I'm not. Well, maybe, I don't know. They put some kind of probe in these guys. Believe me, they're going to know where these guys are. And I think at the right time, they're, with the unmanned surveillance, planes out there, they're going to get these guys. They're in the wrong place, the wrong time.
The other thing in the Chronicle today, we had 20,000 cases that were not pursued by HPD, which will bring us to our next topic in just a few minutes. 20,000 cases HPD did not pursue, mostly because of manpower. There's just so much criminal activity going on. We do not have the resources, the monies to pay for police officers. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate. I mean, there's criminals getting away with acts of violence. I mean, these are all types of criminal activity. And so it's unfortunate that we have to read something like that in the Chronicle.
You know, it's tough, and whoever gets that job has a very tough job to try to kick you. I mean, it's my hat's off to those people that attempt jobs like that. I mean, it's really a no-win. You know, God bless them for owning up and you know, stepping into the driver's seat on that kind, because man, it's really a no-win. You know, you're damn you do, you're damn you don't, that job.
So in 2 minutes, we're going to come back and we're going to talk to our special guest, Kim Ogg, and we're going to talk politics. So join us, come back in 2 minutes. Thank you for joining us on Latino Talk TV. Now we're going to talk to our special guest, Kim Ogg. She's running for district attorney. And as you know, the elections are in November.
Right.
And we have some very important elections. And of course, we have some strong Democrats in this race in November.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is our dear friend, Ms. Kim Ogg. Kim, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
So tell us a little bit why you decided to run.
For DA? Because Houston's my hometown, and our city isn't as safe as it could be by a long shot. The murder rate's down, the other crime rates are up, and our current DA just isn't doing what we need in terms of public safety. Too many criminals are getting away, and at the same time, we see cases where exonerations are due, or cases have big problems, like in these homicide cases that we find weren't investigated. And there's a real failure to act by this district attorney. And so the Democrats in the fall, I think, will be able to show that we're the more experienced candidates, that I've got better judgment based on my life experiences as a criminal prosecutor and head of the anti-gang task force, head of Crime Stoppers, to do the job. So I just think we can have a safer city, and I'd like to be the leader that gets us there.
You know, that's probably one of the longest running Republican held jobs in elected offices in Harris County. I mean, we've probably had Republican there for probably what,
over 30 years.
30 plus years, yeah. And it's great, you know, and I've told Kim before, but I served on one of her juries back in the 90s when she was a prosecutor. She's a tough cookie. She's a tough cookie, very fair-minded, yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So take us back a few years. So you were born and raised here?
I was. My dad's was in the state legislature. He served
Jack
in,
Ogg, I remember him very well.
Senator Ogg served in Senate 15, which has been held by John Whitmire since the early 80s when Jack left. And I was a young lawyer here at the Harris County DA's office. Then I got recruited by Mayor Lanier to run the anti-gang task force.
The famous anti-gang. That's where Adrian Garcia used to.
It is. Adrian was my choice from the police department to be our liaison. The mayor appointed him, and the rest is history. And then I worked at Crime Stoppers as their director for 6 years, and we caught record numbers of non-drug possession felons, all violent, all heavy-duty property criminals, solved the cases, captured the criminals. And then for the last 8 years, I've been a lawyer in private practice. I do some defense work, family work, and some civil rights work. So I have a very broad base of knowledge to bring to what, in a sense, is the largest public law firm in the greater Southwest area.
Tell me a little bit about your education.
Well, I got a journalism degree, don't hold it against me, from UT Austin, 1977, and a JD from South Texas College of Law, which we affectionately refer to as Harvard on the bio.
That's great. You know what, Kim? Republicans have held on to that job for so long. What is it? I mean, do they think, what is the feeling out there that just the Republican candidates are just tougher on crime? Or why is that? Because this is going back to when Democrats were in control.
Well,
Republicans always seem to win that job.
You know, the Republicans have had a stranglehold on Harris County for almost 20 years. 2008, we started to see a change, turned to blue. Then in 10, we had a blue county, but they didn't vote. And so the county has been traditionally conservative, traditionally Republican during all my professional career. Now, Carol Vance held the job back in the 70s. He was a Democrat, very fair-minded guy. Nobody complained he was light on crime. And when he retired, the position was taken over by Johnny Holmes. Between the two of them, they had that job for almost 40 years. And so you had long periods of continuous leadership that differed in style, but not too much in application. But the last 13 years has been a wild ride at the DA's office. We had about 8 years of Chuck Rosenthal. His career ended in ignominy. He sent racially charged emails, campaign emails on the county computers, engaged in some behavior that was not well thought of, and was lucky to not get prosecuted. Then we had Judge Likas come in. She was our DA. There was an interim in between her and him, a Republican that's now the U.S. Attorney. Then we had Judge Likas. She was a much more moderate Republican, started some very good programs, but her own party defeated her in their own primary, and a guy named Mike Anderson was elected. Mike had very conservative, nail 'em and jail 'em views. A lot of what we saw in the 80s, a lot of which we're still paying for, a lot of which doesn't work. And now his wife has been appointed subsequent to his death by a Republican governor. So I don't know that the people have spoken and said this position is a Republican position. It's just kind of the way things have fallen out through general county politics and then through the turmoil within their own party. And I saw the appointment of Ms. Anderson as the prime opportunity for me to run. I've trained for this job all my life, and I honestly believe that the qualifications for the job, the experience for the job, cannot be inherited, cannot be appointed. You need to earn them.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Senator Gallegos' seat. Of course, it's kind of different, but it's similar in a way. The Gallegos family wanted to appoint Carol Alvarado as the successor of Senator Gallegos' seat, but the voters chose otherwise. They voted in Sylvia Garcia. So I kind of see similarities here in that you have the wife of the one-time incumbent that now deceased, wanting to take over the seat once again. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in November. There's a lot of things going on right now. One of them is the partisan politics, but the other thing is the politics within the Republican Party. I mean, you have some people that are way out there to the right, and you see people that are kind of pulling away because they don't want to be tagged as far to the right. They're more moderate. So it's really two parties within a party, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
And the Democrats, it's a little different. I don't see that breaking apart, if you will, in the Democratic side. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I think you're right.
I think I've
we
seen
see
a more
the-
shift toward the center in the Democratic Party.
And that's where I want to take the DA's office. You know, at the end of the day, it's not a partisan job at all. If a crime is committed, an arrest is made, the DA processes the case, prosecutes the case to the fullest extent of the law. But we have a lot of discretion and a lot of tools that just aren't being used. Only 5% of 110,000 people arrested last year got probation. Everybody else went to jail or prison, served time, has a record, and is coming back to the workforce, if they're not already back in it, with a black mark against them. So, you know, my theory of prosecution is that the punishment should fit the crime. And right now, unfortunately, we're spending all of our resources punishing the heck out of people for small amounts of drugs. Illegal? Absolutely. Should they be accountable? Yes. But in the meantime, the serious criminals, burglary is at an all-time high in Houston. Robbery is skyrocketing. Kidnap, home invasions, the crimes we all agree are terrible and that we want to be protected from, those are not being emphasized by our DA or our justice system. And what's worse, we've got cases where people are going to jail on evidence that's not always as good as it should be. We've got people who could be innocent serving time. Those cases have to be looked at, and the person to look at them is the DA. She doesn't need to wait for the media to say, hey, shouldn't you review these cases? This homicide situation is case in chief. 25 homicides at least, not investigated, partially investigated, evidence strewn between the detective's car, home, office, private office. Those cases are compromised. And the chief of police called this detective a liar when he fired him. Now what that means is that all of his cases now should be reviewed. And yet, we didn't see any action by our DA. I sent over an information request like we can do under Texas law saying, show me where you told all the other people that he's worked on, all their cases where they've been convicted. Show me the letters that you sent them warning them about this rogue cop. I get a letter back, a series of letters sent 4 days after my request. So I'm asking you, who's running the DA's office? If it takes an outside candidate to challenge the incumbent into doing the right thing, then the wrong person's sitting behind the desk.
I tell you that it's certainly what exactly, maybe I shouldn't say exactly, but what kind of changes would you bring to the DA's office, Kim?
I'm going to change the way we prioritize criminal justice. We've got to get our police off and out of poor neighborhoods where they're arresting and investigating people walking on the street at night to see if they have dope in their pockets. Evidently, thousands of them do. But those laws are not equally enforced out in neighborhoods like River Oaks or Memorial. But what we're all being killed with are robberies and burglaries and theft and fraud. So I would arrange the priorities differently. I would encourage and work with the leaders in law enforcement to shift their priorities to the crimes that everybody agrees are damaging society. And I would try and offer some kind of accountable treatment to the folks in possession of small amounts of drugs.
I know this has nothing to do with your campaign, but I always want your thoughts on something like this because I think this is so important. In Houston, we have multiple agencies that are police driven.
58.
58. 58 agencies that are police driven. That's a lot of agencies. What are your thoughts on consolidating some of these agencies? You have constables, of course you have the sheriff's office, HPD, and then of course all the universities, Metro, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I mean, just all these.
And all the municipalities, Pasadena, Katy, everybody has their own police force. The DA's office should be the central intelligence and information gathering site. Doesn't mean that the DA needs to keep it all there, but that should be the center, the epicenter of power and intelligence in the criminal justice community, because the DA is in charge of taking the case to the community. And in and responsible for putting members of our society behind bars. That's a heavy responsibility. So you want to keep the information centralized. You want to keep it running through a check and balance power like the DA, because if it's all out in people's file cabinets, then cases get lost.
So getting back to the agencies, what are your thoughts on consolidating?
The only consolidation that could happen would be in criminal investigations. I can't make, as the DA, we can't order the chiefs to get along, but I can encourage them through setting a leadership example and through calling regular meetings to coordinate their investigations of fraud, robbery, homicides even, because often they involve more than one agency. So it's just leadership that it's going to take to get those chiefs together to agree that the epicenter of intelligence should be and is the DA's office, because we're the ones responsible for bringing the evidence to the community. That's the amount of coordination that the DA can do. We can't force anybody. These are all chiefs or sheriffs who are elected themselves or appointed by other governmental leaders, but the DA can be the epicenter, the person who calls all those people together, tells them what the priorities are going to be, and we should be governed by the community. And what I hear is not people griping about folks walking around their neighborhood with dope in their pockets. What they're griping about are burglaries, robberies,
Home
rapes,
invasions.
gang
Absolutely.
crimes. So that's what they want
I mean,
addressed.
10 years ago, you rarely heard about home invasions. Now it's commonplace.
It is, and they're so dangerous, and they're very often drug-driven and cartel-driven. But those are different types of offenders, far higher up the chain than the young, mostly minority, mostly male population that's currently in jail for small amounts of dope.
What's your feeling, Kim, on the decriminalization of marijuana?
I'm for it.
And the governor came out with that same view just a few months back, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Texas may be several years from the decriminalization, and we may see other referendums or initiatives put forth, medical marijuana, that kind of thing. But I'm for it. I think we've got enough real serious crime that we all agree hurts us, either in the pocketbook, hurts our economy, hurts our businesses, hurts our kids, our own personal safety and welfare. Those are the crimes people care about.
Well, me and Ben have our tickets to Colorado. We're going to go investigate this right there.
Well,
Intensely.
actually, we've had many debates on this, okay? And I have always said that I am all for legalizing marijuana. That's since day one. You look at the numbers of people that are serving time for just little stuff. There's numbers like 50%, 60% I saw in some of these counties of people that are locked up because of small amounts.
I can tell you what we're doing here. And remember, decriminalization
It's not the same
is not the same
as
as
legalizing,
legalization. There's a whole nother, I think, experiment going on in other states about legalizing, and I think Texas would be smart to wait and to watch. But in terms of locking people up, I can tell you that if elected, I will stop jailing individuals on marijuana less than 2 ounces. We can do it under current law. We don't need a change. We need the cooperation of law enforcement, but we're going to do something called cite and release, where you're just ordered at the time that you're arrested to appear in court. You bypass the jail process. Right now, people spend an average of 5 days in jail for a joint. The cost of that, and about 12,000 people last year got arrested for marijuana. The cost of jailing them, prosecuting them, incarcerating them is over $11 million. I want to simply order them to court, put them in a pretrial diversion program that lets them clean up the waterways in this city. So they'll work in the hot sun, they'll remove plants that aren't supposed to be there, they'll pick up garbage that flows into the bios and waterways every time it rains, and believe me, they'll learn their lesson, they'll be accountable, but they won't have a record that cripples their chances of getting a job. That just hurts our economy.
You know, that's interesting because as a DA, you have a lot more leeway on how the law is interpreted or applied. Is that correct?
I think that's true. You'll hear my opponent say she has no discretion, she has no leeway. But if that were true, why was it illegal under Chuck Rosenthal to possess what's called a trace or a residue amount of cocaine, legal under Pat Likas's term because she ended those arrests, and now again illegal under Devin Anderson's administration? And the answer is discretion. The DA has always and will always have the ability to determine how the laws are applied and what evidence is sufficient. The reason Pat Likas threw out those trace cases and wouldn't accept residue cases anymore from the police department is it denies the other side due process. So one side could test, the government could test the drug seized, but the defense couldn't test it. That's just not constitutional. And I'm not going to do it. If we can't if it's too small for both sides to test, then it's too small to incarcerate and take the chance that we were wrong.
So let's talk about police brutality. That's always an issue, especially in smaller towns like Pasadena, where there's been a couple incidents over the years, and even Bel Air. There was an incident with a young man that was shot.
Especially Bel Air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so what are your thoughts on the police brutality issues? What are we going to do about it in the future when there's police involved and there's no investigations?
Well, the police-involved shootings are investigated. You don't see those slip through the crack, but what you do, like these other regular homicides that evidently, at least with Houston Police Department, have slipped through the cracks. The police shootings get investigated, but they get heard by grand juries that are mostly comprised of older, retired, Caucasian community members. You'll have some minorities, a few, but it's not prevalent. You don't see the composition of a grand jury look like the community. It looks like older white guys and some women. And over the years, we've seen a continuous tendency not to indict policemen. Understandable, policemen have a hard job, dangerous job, but some of these situations are so egregious, it leaves the community wondering, how did this happen? How could this police officer not be held accountable? And the answer is grand jury. It needs to be reformed. So we pick our juries for regular cases in a certain way, but we don't pick our grand juries that same way. We let judges pick the chairman or the foreman of the grand jury or of the grand jury composition pool, and then they pick their friends. And you get a lot of insider, a lot of thinking that's very similar, and so you don't get good juries of their peers. I think we just need a better way of selecting grand juries, and I think that will cure some of our failure to, I think, perhaps hold the police accountable when they need to be held accountable.
I tell you, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. It amazes me how much common sense this job is. And the word common sense, it's really not common at all, is it?
Well, it needs to be more common. That's what people want out of their government. They want us to do our job, basically just do our job. And so when a DA fails to investigate or a grand jury isn't comprised the right way and they don't ask the right questions because they really are very not inclined to hold police accountable, I think you've got to say, well, is everybody doing their job the way they need to be doing it? We have to be objective. We have to be disinterested. That's the most important thing, and we have to be fair.
Yeah, you know, I find it really interesting that we have even attorneys that don't have their proper licenses practicing in the courtroom. And that's come up several times. What is it that you can do if you're elected?
Well, I think I can bring a sense of fair play and impartiality to the job. And that, I think, is what's created a lot of the distrust in minority communities, including the Latino community. You've got folks who are scared to call the police, who don't want to cooperate with the DA's office because they feel like they're being unfairly targeted. I think I can end that stigma. I think I can improve relations community-wide between all of law enforcement because the DA is the head of it. And just like Sheriff Garcia has taken, he has made a lot of effort to make sure that each underserved community, the ethnic groups that you may not hear about or read about, are not discriminated against by his officers through proper training. I think the DA, through leadership, can convince the public that we have earned their trust because we're fair. We call the shots as we see them, and we don't play inside political games, and we don't discriminate against underserved populations.
Javier, you know better than I do that we have a lot of folks that are in the immigrant community that are afraid to go to the police. I
Absolutely.
mean, we see it over and over again where people are even raped, and even by police officers. We saw that just recently, that they are afraid to come to the police or to anybody else that's of stature that can help them. Now, I find it very interesting that you're willing to tackle some of these issues. And why is it that the current administration has not tackled these issues?
You know, I see the current administration making very uneven decisions. The decision to investigate certain people, especially if it's political, especially if they're Democrats and they're public officials, the decision not to investigate others who may be political but within the same party, might also be a judge. So I've seen a lot of politicizing of the decisions being made by the DA's office under this current administration, and I think that's the simple answer to the question. And we want to take politics out of the mix of prosecution. It should be evidence-based. The evidence has to be solid. We don't want to put the wrong person in and leave the bad guy out on the street. And it's got to be fair. We have to apply the law evenly. If we're going to prosecute one public official for doing wrong, we've got to prosecute all of them. And so I think we can just bring a sense of fair play to the office and a level of consistency that they haven't seen. And one way we're going to do it, really simple way, there is no case management system. Imagine a law firm running 110,000 cases with no case management system. So some basic administrative improvement, technology advancement is really necessary. And I'm going to do that.
So we're using DOS programs over there?
I can tell you
me?
that they're still using the same timesheets as I was using in 1987. They've just computerized them. So we need some serious revision of our administrative procedures and some real depoliticizing of the important decisions that the DA makes. And it's all about discretion.
You know, one thing I would like to ask you about, Kim, you have some very polarizing figures that are going to be in this November election. Not so much in the county level, but for sure at the state level. For instance, Dan Patrick. I think there's going to be an upswell of the Hispanic community. They're going to really going to come out to try to defeat him. Where do you see? What's that going to do to your race, and what's that going to do to the state races as a whole? Do you see a bigger turnout? Do you see? I mean, what exactly? How do you feel it's going to progress?
Well, I know that every person who cares about democratic politics is involved in our statewide gubernatorial race and also our lieutenant governor's race. That's going to be the hot ticket. But in terms of what affects people locally, the DA's race affects individuals' lives on a daily basis more than any position, perhaps than mayor. Because she's responsible for so many services. DA is responsible for public service and for being the check and balance. Any upsurge or uptick that we can get in turning out our base, whether it's Latino, African American, GLBT, or just women, along with all the guys that are Caucasians that are still members of the Democratic Party, any uptick that we can get in their turnout is going to impact the entire ballot favorably. I think we locals have something to offer our statewide candidate holders. The jury, the populace here, the voters, they know us. Many of my friends running for judge on the Democratic ticket, our Attorney General candidate, Sam Houston, he's local. I'm local. I'm from Houston. I've lived here and worked here all my life. The public knows my record. And I think when the locals know the locals, but they've got polarizing statewide races that it's a mix that could be favorable to both of us on the Democratic ticket, the statewide candidates and the local candidates. And I'm sure hoping that's true. We're dependent on voter turnout. And if people don't vote, they just give their power away to make any change that's relevant to their lives. I mean, they're just really at the whim of their government. You have to vote, have to exercise that power to be heard.
Well, let me thank you for coming out and joining us. I
Thank
know
you.
you have a lot of things to do, and by the way, she made this happen on the whim. I mean, we called today, and she's here today, so thank you for coming out on the short notice.
You're important to me, and your viewers are important.
Thank
Kim,
you.
thank
Thank
you
you,
for being
Javier.
here. We
So,
appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on Latino Talk TV. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Thank you for joining us at Latino Talk TV. I'm your host, Ben Mendez, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Javier Perez. And we have a very special guest today. And I'm going to let Mr. Javier Perez do the favor of introducing our next guest.
We have with us Miss Vidi Maldonado with HAMP, which is the Houston Area Hispanic Media Professionals. Did I get that right? Houston Association, excuse me, of Hispanic Media Professionals. So we're we're going to be talking about HAMP and probably that field of study that goes into the members of HAMP and see what they're doing around Houston.
What are y'all doing anyway?
We're doing a lot. We have once a month, we have a meeting. It's held at different TV stations around Houston, and you could actually go onto the website, which is hahmponline.org. And you could find different activities. During the summer, we have different mixers that people can just come out and check out.
So basically, it's all the media personalities that are on air right now?
Yes.
Like Channel 2, 11, 13,
Yes.
26?
Exactly. It's all of the Hispanic media reporters in Houston. They're in our our organization.
So is it also students that are pursuing?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's break down into two parts. You know, it's the media professionals, and it's not just TV. It could be PR, anything that has to do with communications. And then we have the student side, which is anybody that's in college can join.
I tell you now, wasn't Art Rascon? Wasn't he
Yes, he was
outgoing president?
our yes, last president, and he is very well known here in
Right.
Houston. And our current president is from Channel 2. It's Anthony Yanis.
Oh, really? Anthony Yanez. That's great.
Anthony's a good guy.
Yes.
Now, we're trying to make Javier Perez a star.
Okay.
Is there any way that the organization can help us do that?
Please enlighten us,
We
Vidi.
can try. We're trying to make ourselves stars.
I mean, I'll put a cape on him. I'll make him a superhero. What can
Has
we
me
do?
jumping in front of cars.
Exactly.
What can we do to make him a star?
Well, you have to be enrolled in college and study communications.
Now, communications involves what type of studies in college? No, probably journalism for sure.
Yes, broadcast journalism, PR, marketing. There's different types. You know, newspaper writing, everything that has to do with media. It's part of communications.
And I know you're an aspiring reporter, right? Vidi?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So what kind of reporter? As in news and media?
I like everything. I like 60 Minutes. I like hard news, entertainment. I like everything. I think it's very important to be all around, you know, kind of be open to everything.
Have you done
'cause
radio?
I haven't done radio, but I wouldn't be close to trying it out.
You know what? Actually, I enjoy doing this show. I don't know about you, Javier, but we've been doing this for 7 seasons. Can you believe that? 7 seasons.
That's right.
And by the way, we all do this volunteer. The crew in the back, producers, cameras, even Javier is a part of. Well, he used
Well,
to.
I get a
He used
kickback.
to,
I get a
being
kickback.
behind the scenes, but now he's in front of the camera.
I get $1.50 a show.
Oh, you get $1.50? Well, most of us don't get paid. I should say. Even his son, by the way, his son is young. How old is he?
13.
13. Has grown up on this show. He's been behind the camera, so he's learned the ropes, basically. He could probably be someone in your group and on the road.
Exactly.
Would you agree?
You know, I didn't think about that, but he could be a member of HAMP.
Yes.
Yeah, so do they start young? College? High
Yes,
school?
usually it's college. There is a scholarship that each year the association gives away, and that is towards seniors in high school and upcoming freshmen in college. So that's also a possibility for anybody that's looking into studying in the field. And you could also look at the website for more information on that. But I really think it's important for any student that's pursuing a communications degree to try and network and get out there and learn people that are in the field that can give advice, especially Hispanics, because we don't see a lot of Hispanics in the English market. And I really think that if we want to, you know, further ourselves, we have to start young and we have to look at people here locally that can help us.
You know, tell us a little bit more about yourself, Vidi. I know you've been involved in HAMP a while, but you've done different things in the media profession. You've probably done assistant producing and reporting. I mean, give us a little taste of what you've been doing.
Well, thanks to HHMP, I was able to get a internship at Univision at the Community Affairs Department
with Grace
Olivares. Yes, and I was able to get that. A funny story is I had actually applied for that internship a couple of years before I got that internship, and I didn't get it. And because I started networking and getting to know people, it was easier for me to, you know, get that foot in the door. And then from there, I went into working in promotions at Univision, doing like different events that they would have at different venues. And then from there, I became a reporter and producer for Houston on the Move, which is part of HHMP.
Great.
But now, why don't you go into more Houston on the Move? What exactly is that?
Houston on the Move is a community affair show that's targeted to our Latino community, and it's hosted by Marina Hernandez, who is a local reporter. Well, she used to do local reporting for Univision, and now she's doing Houston on the Move, and it's just a show that's very hands-on for students. And I'm
When
still
does that
part of
air?
it. It airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 on your HEC channel.
9:30 a.m. or p.m.?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yes. So
So
it comes
you-
on twice.
So there you go. If you want to see them in action on Tuesdays at 9:30.
Yes.
Oh, great.
And like I mentioned, it's very hands-on for students that want to pursue a journalism career. You don't get that much hands-on experience when you're in college, and this is just a great opportunity to get out there and put your face out there as well.
You know, and it seems like that journalism has become a lot more media driven, and I've seen it now. Why don't you tell us what I know you do part time? Just share that with us.
I work at Talento Bilingüe in Houston. And actually, I got this job because of HAHMP as well. You know, it's all through networking. One of our board members was looking for someone to come help you out.
Yeah.
And that's how it got to me.
So tell me the truth now.
Don't,
How is Javier
don't.
to work with?
Javier is awesome. I
You
could
see,
tell-
Ben, I'm awesome.
I
Okay.
could tell Javier, I'm coming in late, and he'll be like, okay, take your time.
Take your time.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure the board member's real happy to hear that, Vidi. Thank you.
Hey, the work gets done.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
good.
You know, and I think it needs to be stressed because you've done all this through networking.
Yes.
You know, and as a young person your age, just out of college, I don't think they realize how important networking is.
It's very important. I think, you know, the more you get yourself out there and the more you get your name out there, you know, people just relate your name to different things. And it's important to just be out there. And even if you don't know what you want to do in life, you know, you never know, you know, what
So Javier
somebody
needs to go
can-
network then, because he still doesn't know what he wants to do. when he
I
grows
don't know
up.
what I do when I grow up. I don't know. I don't know, Ben.
Well, it's important, you know, just to put your name out there and go out and network with different people.
What are some of the things that you do that are helping you go to that profession? I know that I've seen you. I've told you I love to see you when you interview people because you're kind of like you get like an on-air persona that
Yes.
kind of just pops up.
The mask comes
Yeah.
on, huh?
Yeah. Oh man, she's very professional. When she does her report, she put a mic in front of her right away. She's Miss Reporter. She's
Yes,
she's
my
doing her
alter
thing.
ego. It comes out.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes. I do, you know, different stuff. Well, recently we started doing videos for Talento Bilingüe, and we hope that everybody can watch those videos and hopefully come out and support our local talent at Talento Bilingüe. And it's just important to you know, get yourself out there and use, you know, different types of media, social media, you know, to help bring up stuff.
And it has to be a lot easier with today's technology. A lot of people are doing this with their iPhones, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, right? I
Yes.
know you've done a lot of work with just your
Yes,
iPhone.
Exactly. Cameras are expensive, so you can just pick up your iPhone and, you know, film something, and it's up in minutes.
So when do we start, Javier?
I don't know, man.
I'll
I
have
keep
to start
breaking my
filming you.
camera.
We're gonna make him a star by the time it's all
No,
over.
please, Ben, please. I'll let Vidi be
I
the.
thought you were
I want
already
Vidi
a
to be the
star.
next Oprah.
He's already a star.
Vidi is the next Oprah. I'm telling you, she's Oprah in training.
That's
I
good.
hope. She's my idol, and that's why I got started.
So this bug that you had for this, is it from high school or back in the day?
Actually, it was like when I was 8 years old. I always knew that I wanted to help people and I wanted to be the voice of our community. And what better way than to do it through television? And I think it's very important, you know, to just keep inspiring. You know, even if it doesn't come soon, if you just keep trying, I know it'll come one day.
Just FYI, one of your members from your organization from back in the day, Minerva Perez.
Yes.
Minerva used to be our co-host. She used to be on this show
Yes.
for several seasons. She was our co-host, and then she went on to start Latina Voices, which is still on. And so we're proud to say that we worked with Minerva.
Yeah, she's awesome. I admire her. I remember her when I was a little girl. She was on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, who are the up and coming folks in television right now?
Well, there's a lot of people out there, but I think it's when you think about Hispanics on TV, you can't really say one name. Obviously in the Spanish TV, there's like Jorge Ramos, but in the English market, who do we have out there? And it's really sad because there's this big community in the U.S. that speaks English and Spanish, and we also need those people to be faces in the English market and to be role models for the bilingual community.
Well, the names that come to mind are the co-hosts for 2020, and I can't think of them right now. Who is it? Quinones?
John Quinones.
Johnny-
That's right.
John?
hmm
Right away, his name pops up. Then his co-host too, the young lady,
Oh man, you got.
Soledad
Miss
O'Brien.
Soledad
No, that's
O'Brien.
not. That's not. No, but she's a.
She's at CNN.
She's CNN. Yeah.
But
Oh,
she's
CNN.
awesome. I got to meet her one time, and she is a role model. She really is.
And
out
then, of
there.
course, we have Javier Perez.
Of course.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Please. Don't
can't
rub it in.
We can't forget Javier.
How much is he paying you?
I don't know, man. I'd have hire him as my manager or something.
know.
Here.
Well, I'll tell you what. Networking, as we talked before, is the key to success in a lot of ways. First of all, you get to meet the connections, the
Yes.
people that are making the decisions. But the other thing is career opportunities.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Career, I mean, it might start off as an internship, but kind of moves on to other things as you grow older and have more experience. And then the third thing I would say that's very important about networking. I mean, you have people that can point you in the right direction. They might not be the person that makes the decisions. They might not be able to hire you, but they can point you and say, you know what, I have a friend that can help you. So
Exactly.
those are really important reasons to network, and I appreciate you coming out.
No, thank you for inviting me.
So you have any last minute things you want to tell our audience?
I just think if anybody's out there that wants to study communications, get involved. It's never too early to start getting involved, and it's important to put yourself out there and to get that hands-on experience before you go on into a career.
And is there anything going on at TBH you want to talk to us
There's
about?
always stuff going on at TBH, and you could visit our website at www.tbhcenter.org, and we have all the stuff on our website. You could like us on Facebook, and we have updates every day. We're on Twitter and LinkedIn as well.
She can be your spokesperson for TBH.
That's what I'm telling her. And she does an excellent job interviewing the folks. And I think she really, like I said, when she gets that reporter persona in there, it's like, whew, she like switches.
It's
You know?
something in you that just comes out.
That's
And
like-
you know what? Just really quick, Vidi, I think maybe the youth really and people coming up in this, they really need to realize the importance of volunteering.
Yes.
That volunteering, for one, it just broadens their horizons, broadens their network. How important was that to you?
It was very important. In high school, it was like a have to do thing. But when I actually graduated from high school and I started doing it in college, it was very entertaining. And I found it that it's actually nice to just go out there and volunteer. And it's another way of putting yourself out there to a different group of people. And you never know who you get to meet. You really don't. And it's important to volunteer because even if they're not paying you, you'll get something back someday.
And that's very true. You're right. You volunteer and something happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it just broadens, like I said, broadens your network, broadens your horizon, and before you're going in a completely different direction than you thought you were going. So that's very important. And young people, I think, really need to realize that. I mean, how long? I mean, you've been volunteering for years, Ben.
Too long. I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to retire and take some time off from volunteering. Actually, good point there. I volunteered probably 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I have little ones now, and I'm really focused right now on my kids and doing the sports things and all the little stuff that goes on with kid stuff.
I did the same thing.
They're at an age where they need me right now, so I don't spend a lot of time volunteering like I used to. But I know it's very important because
Yeah.
I did it for a long time, and I made some great contacts doing it.
Well, yeah. Well, you keep having kids, brother. You keep having to
I have
volunteer.
4 kids. I think I'm done.
You have 2 older kids and
Yeah.
2 really young
And
ones.
you, how many do you have?
I've got 'em. I've got 4, but I only got my 3rd just graduated from high school, starting college in the fall. So I have 1 more left. Thank goodness, Nick.
One more left in the nest.
Yeah, Nick is. Who knows what Nick will do, man? I think that kid's got to do.
Firecracker?
He is. He's a
Journalism.
firecracker.
You don't have kids, do you?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
She's not married, Ben.
No.
Okay.
She's a young thing.
We're
Please.
not there yet.
Out there. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with not being married. Just
Right.
follow your career until you're ready.
Exactly.
Yeah. So again, thank you for coming out.
No,
and
thank you for inviting
we're
me.
here every Monday, by the way. If you
Oh,
want to come
thank
by
you.
and drop by and say hello,
Of course.
We want a guest host? I think Vidia make a good guest host.
bring a
wouldn't
guest. Bring a guest with you if you want. One of the folks from the organization.
We would
one of
love
media.
to be here. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Any last minute?
she? Bring art.
Yes. Try to invite Art or Anthony.
Absolutely.
Any last minute?
Oh,
Good?
Last minute. I think we're good, Ben.
All right. Well, this concludes our show with Latino Talk TV. Thank you for coming out, Javier. Thank you for co-hosting.
Absolutely.
We're here every Monday night in Houston's East End at the Houston Media Source. Now, we're going to be live 6 o'clock next Monday, so I hope you're going to be here at 6 this time. All right. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.